Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Camilla's Choice, the debate. I'm having a little trouble getting one of our guests in, but I see my old buddy, Mr. Tatarski, is in here. Will, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
So it's been a little while since we've seen each other. How have you been?
I actually, it's been exciting. I've been in and out of the hospital and um, having family changes. Been good. No problem.
Well, that's good to hear. That you're back and doing well. But hey, as we keep going through our little, our generation, it's hey, little, it's used cars, not fresh off the assembly line. So, there's little takers that we have to do to it every now and then. But I'm so happy to have you here. Um, I was wondering, since the last time we met, what did you think about Biden withdrawing from the race?
Well, I'll tell you what. I backed Biden all the way. I like his style, but he suffers from the same thing I do. He's got a disease called CRS. Are you familiar with it?
No.
Yeah, I can't remember shit. And
Okay.
and I mean, as the older I get, and I'm not at Biden's age yet. I'm just 76 right now. But I know I can't remember things like I used to, and I try to uh, create tricks like my keys are all hung up now, so I'm not wondering where the hell I set the key down. That sort of thing, where you just have to be cognitive of what your plans are in the short future, and not like I plan my trips to where I'm going. You know what I mean?
Okay.
GPS has helped me a lot, but in Biden's case, I think the big money got in and told him, say, hey, for the good of the party, let's go with uh, a younger, fresher, and I think the idea of having a intelligent woman running is genius. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It did seem at the moment a stroke of genius. And I was very curious as to who was going to be her running mate. And then I saw that it was going to be the governor of Minnesota, Mr. Walls. What did you think of her choosing of Mr. Walls as a running mate?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I never knew of the governor. I mean, Minnesota's a long way from Georgia, so
Okay.
it it never really came across my radar. But I have faith and confidence in uh, her ability to make wise choices. And as far as I'm concerned, it was validated at this last debate. You know, um, but as far as the gentleman goes, I like him. He seems to be okay. I don't know him yet, and I feel as time goes on, we'll get to know more and more about him. So right now, I'm happy, but I don't have any real knowledge. Fair enough.
Okay, okay. So let's talking about Georgia. Uh, do you see Georgia still being the same swing state as it was
Ooh.
in the last election?
We had a strong organization on the Democratic side last go round because we were trying to unseat Kemp as governor with a lovely young black lady, and I played CRS. I can't remember her name right now, uh, but and there was a strong organization. So right now we don't have a another office to run. We had we had two senators that were running, and a lot of organization there, and a lot of votes came along with them. So I'm not sure how it's going to go. It's a toss up right now. I drive around and I see a lot of Trump signs, and the bad indication to me is our congressman retired, and there were two gentlemen up for Republican nomination. This is a state where I can cross over and vote in a primary for the other party. And I voted against the Trump candidate, the Trump endorsed candidate for Congress. And unfortunately, he won by a landslide. So I'm not sure how we're going to go. I'm I don't know. It's a toss up.
Okay, okay. Um, I was hoping that maybe in the midst of all of this, we would see Stacey Abrams again.
Yes, Stacy. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes, Stacy is going to end up uh, on the national stage because she's an intelligent lady. She's an author, and at one time she actually worked as a production assistant on a stage, which is my advocation, or on a movie, which is my advocation now. So I like her. I really do.
Yeah, and then I was thinking of the young lady from Texas, Miss Crockett.
Ah, yes.
You know, but you know, having I thought of having two black women, that might be a bit much. And then I thought the front runner was going to be the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yes, that's what I thought as well. I have to agree with you. So but again, there's a lot involved that is not open to the public as far as what their thoughts are. I don't know. It's beyond my pay grade. When I was a young man in Pennsylvania voting, I always pulled that one lever that just went straight Democratic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never worried about getting to know the candidates as much because I knew the party is what uh, uh, had my ideals. And I think that's starting to come back a little bit with Kamala.
Well, let's hope so. Um, but I want to talk a little bit about the debate.
Oh yeah.
And like the nonsense about the earbuds and her being and the cats and we're not going to talk about that.
Hey, I think half of her winning points, if you judge a debate, was just letting him talk, with things that everybody knows is not true. It's like him talking, talking and just digging himself a hole. So yeah, I I really enjoyed that debate.
So, what were the things that they covered that you liked, and what were some of the things that maybe that you wanted them to cover that they didn't?
Well, I like the idea that the discussions were met with organization and clear thought on Camilla's part, and mindless rambling is what it felt to me on Trump's part. So I I had no no dissatisfaction with anything that occurred. There were no exchanges where I thought she got dominated. I don't think there's anything I particularly wanted to hear from them. Um, the whole the biggest points they talk about is the immigration, and to me that's what this country is built on, immigration. I mean, my grandparents came over on a boat. Um, and this country wouldn't be what it is without immigration. So all this anti-immigration position is shameful, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this. Uh, since you brought up immigration, should we be let, I want to put this in the right words here, because like you say, this country was built on immigration, but I sort of felt that in this particular exchange, let me get this up here. Do you, should we be as strict with immigration on all our borders as we are on our southern border, or is this
Mhm.
just something that is in particular to our southern border?
Well, the political end is on the southern border. The political end is on the they don't look like me border. Um, and that's where I've got a problem. And I seriously believe that the Canadian border, if they my son has a friend up in along the border where they go hunting. Lives forget what state it is. Again, like I said, I got CRS. Um, and the Canadian border is nothing up there. It's a little a concrete post in the ground where they were hunting, where you accidentally walk into Canada or walk back. I mean, it's wide open. There are border patrol, and I guess they have common places where individuals do bad things, but I don't think it's quite as policed or patrolled as the southern border is.
Well, some places, I imagine, if you go across Buffalo and you have the Peace Bridge, of course, and
Yeah.
maybe Windsor, going across from Detroit. But as you said, even in upstate New York, there are places where you can just, there's a post in the ground, or uh, a marker, not even a hut or anything. But so I guess whenever you hear about these gangs, they're always coming from the South. Uh, I'm confused. Are there no white gangs?
Not that make the press.
Yeah. So,
Our Canadian border is special because you can, I mean, used to be you didn't even need a passport to travel across the border. I understand now they're making you show your passport to come back.
oh, yeah, you need a passport to go. When I first moved out here in 2003, you could go back and forth across the border here at San Diego. It's only 12 miles from the border, and you could go back and forth across the border, whenever you please, more or less. But now, yeah, you have to show a passport.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess Canada's picked or our northern border has picked up the same thing. Whereas, like you said, back in the day, you could cross the border without any hassle. Biggest thing they were worried about is you going up on the northern end and working. I in a previous life I worked for General Motors, and I would go up there to an automotive assembly plant, and I was going to work. I was going to go to a school up there on a new piece of equipment, and we were told when we go to the border we have to say we're going to inspect something, inspect a car or inspect some equipment, and couldn't say you were working or they would make you get a work permit. And so
Okay.
life's evolved as far as things go.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you were going up to some of the major cities, Montreal, Toronto, some of those, but I never went up there to work. I was always going up there, yeah, you go across the border after you go to Niagara Falls, so forth, things like that, things of that nature.
When
Uh,
when I
but
was in
go ahead.
when I was in Detroit, we would go across the border for the in the city of Windsor for the Windsor
Right.
Ballet.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like in some places like that, you might have to. I'm not sure. It's been so long, but I wanted them to, for my part, I wanted them to spend more time uh, on veterans. Um, I thought, that for as much as everybody was saying that the strength of the Republican Party was talking about immigration. I thought that the strength of the Democratic Party was talking about veterans and Social Security.
Those two are strong points that the advertising I'm seeing with this 2025 plan that they have, and I don't hear them denying that. You know, I think they've always had a problem with Social Security. The people I talk to that are, I call them Trumpers, talk about them people getting free money for nothing and I'm paying for it. Yeah, I I see a lot of it, and I have learned to bite my lip.
Well, being a moderator, I've had to bite my lip. I've had to learn to bite my lip. When I first started out in podcasting, I was very, very hot headed. I was pretty much like Trump. You could bait me into an argument just like that. Uh, and, and as I say, now at our age, I'm 77. Uh, you know, uh, these are things that you know we have worked to depend on. Your Social Security. This is not some money that they have given me. This is money that I have put away, and my employer has matched it. You're not giving me what I have earned.
Exactly. I think Social Security, and the other thing is health care. God, I mean, for my generation, that's very important. Uh, and, and 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 I'm not interested in anybody that's got a concept for a plan.
Well, he had a concept for a plan when he was in office. Why didn't he do it then? I mean, we had 4 years of, like, I'm going to take care of this, as only I can do. Uh, you, you know, I'm the greatest fixer since,
There's a
crazy.
lot. There's a lot of stupid people in this country, and unfortunately, they allow them to vote. So I think he plays to them a lot. But yeah,
Well, now, here's another thing that I find it almost frightening in some ways that we're still trying to pass the John Lewis Voting Act.
mm.
I thought all this was taken care of back with the Civil Rights Act.
Well, you know what they did to abortion, the Roe versus yeah, Roe versus Wade.
Ro- Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, and they would love to do the same thing to the civil rights. Um, I think that's too hot of a topic right now for them to actually get into that. But uh, if they're in power, there'll be a lot of changes.
Well, now, you and I have heard of the Project 2025, and supposedly 45 has no part of this, but it is written by the Heritage Foundation, and as far as I was concerned, everyone had access to this. Now, here's a guy that takes nuclear secrets home, but he won't take home Project 2025 to read.
I don't believe he reads any of it. I believe someone sits down and gives him a synopsis. At least that's the way he sounds to me when he talks. Um,
Well, I mean, even as we know, a briefing, if you want to call it that. He hasn't had a briefing on one of the most important, from one of his major contributors. Someone that the Republican Party is almost built on its foundations. That's why it's called the Heritage Foundation, I believe.
well, I think it's basically us and them. And us is the working people, and them are the people that inherited their money. There's, and I love it when Camilla says, We're going to get them to pay their fair share. That is the best slogan she's got going right now.
I, I like that she says, but we've heard this before. And here's what I I think people forget is that no matter who the president is, there is a group called Congress
Mhm.
that controls a lot of what the president can actually do. All you have to do is look back at what Mitch McConnell was able to do against President Obama.
Yep.
He was not allowed to. I mean, the Supreme Court would probably be looking much different if Obama had been allowed to appoint a Supreme Court justice. And Mitch McConnell, or yeah, it was Mitch McConnell, said that he would never let him appoint a Supreme Court justice as a lame duck president.
And I think Mitch is the one that got Roe overturned because without him, I don't think the Supreme Court would have ever gone that far. You know.
Well, I mean, they put, during the administration, they put three conservatives on the board, which makes it a 6-3 majority. So the conservatives can pretty much push whatever they need. Uh, but I'm going to get back to that. Uh, because that's another interesting topic there also uh, when we talk about the Supreme Court and its relationship to the Senate. But supposedly, there's going to be a debate on October 10th between J.D. Vance and Mr. Tim Walz, the two vice presidential candidates. Are you looking forward to that debate to get to know the two candidates, or are you familiar with JD? I mean, he's from Ohio, so I'm not. You might not be as familiar with Ohio, just like you might not be familiar with Minnesota. So, but I'm sure JD has said some outlandish things that have come to roost also. So even though we might not know who he is, we know who he is.
He's cut from the same mold as Trump because he makes shit up as he's talking to, and just recently just said, we should do that. So I hope he gets over his syphilis that he's got.
But here's another guy. 2 years ago, was denouncing Trump and denouncing, Trump as being the leader of the party. And now like many of the Trumpers, all of a sudden Trump is king. I mean, if some of the things that Trump said about Ted Cruz's wife in the hood would be fighting words.
Republicans don't care about a morality, I guess, and have no fidelity, no fidelity, and no morality. So whichever the way the wind is blowing, that's the way they're going to go.
But I find it very. I don't know. I don't know if the word is appalling. I have President Bone Spurs and a 4-year, I'm going to do my obligation, Marine. Uh, he's actually been served, unlike the duck. He has actually served. He did. Uh, he got. He did. He was in the rear with the gear. Uh, but I find it, like I said, very appalling how they can disparage the military, people that have served, and yet I see veterans and some veterans organizations lining up behind a man who refused to honor his military obligation. You can tell. Look, we have probably both known guys from Vietnam that have had much worse than bone spurs. I mean, in the 101st guy, guys that couldn't bend over, carrying 120-pound rucksacks. But I digress. What do you think about that? The way that the military has been kind of betrayed as a bunch of knuckleheads and imbeciles by someone who hasn't served or gotten above a 4-year rank in the military.
Well, I'll tell you what. Money talks. You can buy just about anything in this country, and the doctor that signed off on Trump's bone spur deal was for sale. He was heavily involved with Trump's father in some shady deals. I know I've read that. But I am looking forward to the debate because I will get a better understanding of our vice president, and it's been my experience that all you got to do is let these Republicans talk, and they dig a hole. Yeah. So I think JD will be the same if I'm not mistaken. Although I did enjoy his portrayal in a movie, but other than that, I haven't got much to say about the gentleman.
So, speaking of that, do you find in your community that there are more people tending to lean more toward the right?
No. Georgia has attracted the film and television industry because of tax incentives. Now, people say tax incentives and they think, damn, what is it? Well, Paramount's yearly budget on tax incentives that they get is like $80 million. So it's nothing to sniff at. But the industry is is as liberal as any industry can be. The whole industry is run by left wing Hollywood liberals. I think the person that got Trump got Biden to back off and let Camilla move up had a lot to do with financing from the Hollywood industry. So I like it. I like working with these people. I know that if today social media plays such a big play in everything you do, And people that tend to be vocal on their conservative political ramblings don't seem to work as much as folks that, you know, are amongst left wing liberals, Democrats, and a lot of Green Party and what's the other one? Begins with an L.
The libertarians.
Yeah, that's the one. Libertarians. Yes. Yeah, we've got a lot of free thinkers in the business. So the Republican controlled uh, Senate at the time actually wanted to stop the tax incentives because so many people were moving here for the business that they would change the vote, and it occurred with the fact that we flipped from red to to blue in the last presidential election. So I think there's hope for us. And a lot of folks were political. Uh, uh, we tend to be radical in the business where we'll go out and march or show up at rallies or a lot of social media commentary. A lot of performers are that way where they will come out and support even local candidates. So I'm happy to hang with those guys.
Well, once again, you got me going off script here
Yeah.
because when you mention the influence of Hollywood and people that are in the entertainment industry, there's a young lady out there that's causing all kinds of disturbances because of her endorsement of Kamala Harris. And that young lady has more followers, I believe, than the entire Republican Party by
I believe
herself.
you're right.
Her name is Taylor Swift. I mean, I remember when there was a Fox news commentator that said that LeBron should shut up and dribble. But
Yep.
but here's a young woman at the peak of her career, major influencer of young adults,
A
especially
self-made woman.
especially young women. What do you think is the effect of her influence on the coming election? I mean, you know, uh, she had what was it, almost 400,000 people registered to vote. I'm not
Yes.
saying that all of them are going to vote for Democrats, but if you get 50% of them to vote for Democrats,
She's smart too. She's intelligent. The idea is instead of getting out and hammering vote, vote, vote for my candidate, she hammered register, 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 because the registered voter is going to look, and the young people that follow her are somewhat intelligent, and they'll look at the facts rather than vote on emotions of that 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 guy crossed the border and he's going to take my job. I'll tell you what job them people cross the border take are hard to fill because nobody wants to do them.
I'm
But
not. I'm not going out and pick tomatoes.
no,
I'm not thinking about how many like apples go in a bushel. I don't, and I don't know a lot of people. I mean, there used to be, and I'm going way back here. I mean, there used to be a time when like trucks used to go through the black neighborhoods and they'd pick pick you up to go and pick green beans or whatever it was the crop that was growing that year. But now I don't have to do that because Jose, Pedro, or Consuela, they'll do those jobs, and I'll go to the grocery store and pick it up and wash it and bring it home.
Exactly.
I'll call it the farmer will call it organic, and instead of selling it for 25 cents, he'll sell it for $1.
Exactly. Well, I like Taylor. I like her music. I like her style. I even like her boyfriend.
Well, I have to like her boyfriend because sports is part of my business, and I will admit, even though I'm a Steeler fan, when it comes to the AFC, I know that my Steelers aren't going to go to the Super Bowl, and hey, I like a good team. I like Travis Kelce. I liked his brother when he was with Philadelphia. The family's work ethic, but I don't, I did not, and I have not heard, of his politics, but, whatever. But like you said, you have to like him. He's, if you follow his career, he's also a blue collar man. That's the way he's made his career. So, I think the influence of Taylor Swift is great, and when you combine that with some of the others, LeBron James, Stevie Wonder, some
Sleep
of the
in my ass and call me a Swiftie if it works.
See, there you go. Another thing that I just kind of thought of off the top of my head. One of the big things that everyone is talking about is the economy. High prices at the pump, high prices at the grocery store.
High prices for houses. God.
But the thing of it is that nobody mentions that the gas companies are making record profits. The food industries are making record profits. I mean,
that's why the stock market's so damn high.
Yeah, but again, the stock market is high. So why are we not looking at that side? Because maybe if we cut gas down to $4 a gallon, and the CEO of Exxon only made maybe $4 million a year instead of 40. Lifestyles. I know it's not quite the same lifestyle, but I'm sure I could live well off $4 million a year. I'm just saying. I don't know. Like how many suits do you buy when you're the CEO of Exxon? Couldn't you buy a $5,000 suit instead of a $25,000 suit? I'm just, why do we just look at?
They go to space, is what
one
they
side.
do. They build space rockets and go walk in space for them and their buddies. That's what they're doing.
But why? Just like the Republicans wanted to point out the economy and rising prices, no one wants to talk about the record profits. We're only talking about prices and the effect on the consumer.
But prices have gone down. Gas here in Georgia is less than $3 a gallon in a lot of places, or where I buy it.
Okay.
But I'd say the average is around three, 310, 315, something like that.
Yeah. But did you see what Exxon made in profits last year?
Unbelievable.
I mean, so I mean, and that's at $3 a gallon. The same $3 that you pay, we pay $5 for out
Yep.
here in California, but that's a whole different ball game. And I mean, to me, that's the price of living in California. So if you're gonna live in California, there's certain things that you expect. So if you live in Georgia, there are certain other things you expect. If you live in Ohio, there's certain I mean, so when people talk about prices, like I said, like, well, is he taking that, like I said, that $25, I mean that 25-cent avocado and selling it for $1 and then $2 if it's organic? Shouldn't we do something about that?
Yes. Yes, we should.
You
And
know,
I think Camilla will. I believe she will. She's talking about controlling the price gouging. She's talking about not letting them speculate and make the prices go up. Actually, prices have gone down just a little. Like I said, gas prices down. My wife says that she says she noticed there's no raises in her grocery bills lately. So I think there is a little softening of that growth, but it's still, you know, in ouch territory.
well, I mean, the interest rates were only raised by the Fed, a 0.5%. So you
Yeah.
know it. So you know that like uh, that uh, mass inflation that everyone is talking about. You know, the Fed has just debunked that also. So but uh, as a veteran, uh, let's talk a little bit about things that we have seen and things that are in Project 2025,
Hmm.
which include decreasing our health benefits.
Well, I'll tell you what, brother. I use the VA health benefits. Um, and I have great benefits from retiring at General Motors. So, yeah, I use them. I like them. I mean, they're first class and they're uh, effective. You just like any health care, you have to be proactive in uh, your own care. In other words, you've got to follow up and make sure that you do what they want you to do, and they do what they said they would do. Um, but money wise, I think we're okay. That I haven't seen any massive uh, um, cutting of corners or whatever. I had an operation at the VA hospital. Um, Took out a part of my intestine, put it back together. Didn't cost me a penny. So yeah, I like the VA health. Plus, no matter where I go, I'm covered. They got me on the computer, and I can find service where I want it. So, and I really like the fact that they included all these people that have this burn pit problem.
The
Um,
PACT Act, the PACT Act, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
uh,
like we were with Agent Orange. Thank
well,
God I don't believe I ever was really exposed. So,
well, if if you remember, there was a lot of complaints from the enlisted personnel like myself about the burn pits. I mean, anytime you're mixing human excrement with diesel fuel and lighting on fire and stirring it with a stick, and you're inhaling the fumes, I mean, it would just seem to me that this is rather unhealthy.
Not good.
You know, just as when you have Agent Orange dripping off trees into the water supply, and you bend down and fill up your canteen. Same difference, but we've learned that now. But just the way that these two men think of military and military veterans, I don't understand how they pulled the wool.
Are you talking about suckers and losers?
Well, he never said that. Remember, that was something that he never said. Just as
he fired the man that said he said it.
Well, he also said that that he didn't know that you don't take pictures in Area 60 of Arlington National Cemetery. But that doesn't just apply to Area 60. It applies to many areas in Arlington.
I may get buried in Arlington. I keep debating it. But I'll tell you this much, okay? I have never had thumbs up while standing on a grave in a graveyard. But if I outlive him, I just might do that.
Well, I was thinking of maybe some liquid type of revenge.
I when I got out of the military, I said I'm never going to stand in line again.
I hear that.
But yeah, Arlington is sacred, and it should be treated that way. And it was just a promo deal for them boys.
I felt that he did the same thing in France.
Yes.
But like I
and
said,
I do believe in France he said that, and wouldn't go to that graveyard because it was raining.
Because it was raining.
And it would mess up his hair.
So I'd also like to talk about, since it's just us, the Hunter Biden situation. This was another thing that even if it was proven to be true, because he actually was willing to go in front of the committee, and all of a sudden nobody had anything to say or to ask. But anyway, but we never discussed the $2 billion that Kushner got from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I mean, two billion compared to, even if it was 200, even if it was 2 million, I mean, 2 billion, that seems kind of a lot for an individual
investment
just because I like you.
Well, they've dropped off the face of the earth. I don't know. You don't see anything or hear anything about them. I understand they were socially excluded in their old circle. I don't know, and I don't think she's involved in his campaign at all. So
no. But I'm just making connections here. We don't talk about the fact that the Trump family has Chinese bank accounts, and the daughter has numerous Chinese patents.
Yes. Trump's clothing line. He had a clothing line. I don't know still if he does, but it was all made in China. And
Ivanka,
he had a
yeah.
big banking account in China that he did not report as income when he was running for office.
Well, the hats, the MAGA hats used to be made in China. I don't have one, so I don't know where they're made now. But when they first came out, they were made in China.
Of course. Low price leader. I try hard not to buy made in China products, but it's almost impossible with some things.
Well, evidently, you're not going to be shopping too much on Amazon.
No, actually, I do not do Amazon. I don't know why, uh, but we never got hooked on the Amazon thing. But then again, if there's something I want from Amazon, I just use my daughter's account and let her order it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm one of those Amazon Prime guys.
Ah,
Because I have to have my football.
yeah,
And Thursday night football
yeah.
is on Prime.
Jets were winning when I last looked.
I mean, nowadays, if you don't want to have a huge cable bill, you're streaming. So your Fire Stick or your smart TV usually comes from China.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I have one TV that was built. It said it had a built-in. It said it was built-in antenna. So I don't know where the hell antenna is, but
yeah, I mean, well, all of them, now, are pretty much, smart TVs. You have your chip, and most of your chips are made in Taiwan if they're not made in China. Even though we are allies with Taiwan, but I mean, we're also in direct competition. But I do find it troubling. I mean, this is to me, this is something that should be bipartisan. I mean, you cannot, forget about the threat that North Korea poses, uh, nuclear as well as military aggression. You have China building man-made islands in the South China Sea, and once again we hear the rumblings of a possible invasion of Taiwan. Uh, so, to me, you need a leader that is not going to be soft on the strong men of the world, such as Xi Jinping in China, the little,
she doesn't admire them.
so like, I mean, as Camilla pointed out, they eat him for lunch. So uh, how do you look at the clear and present danger toward the United States from a militaristic and technology point of view? And do you think that the Republican Party is tough enough to stand up to these threats when their representative is Donald Trump?
You got it exactly right. I think that the the relationship with China is the point where if Trump would win, there's no military takeover. It's takeover our economy, where everything is Chinese and there's no tariffs or price control or any of that, to where they create a dependency that we can't get away from, because all the products that we need are made in that country.
Well, at one time, and I'm sure I remember this very vividly during the Trump administration, when we had uh, tremendous swaths of farmland being bought by the Chinese.
Yep.
You know, and you know, I mean, I remember when we were at one time we were talking about how much of our economy that the Saudis control. You know,
I think one of the big problems that is going to plague the world is going to be food shortage at some point in time, because of, like you said, the control of the production and the land.
yeah, I mean, much of the land that is being fought and burned is in the Ukraine is farmland.
Yep.
And that's those are products that used to feed not only the region but much of Europe. So that's there are a lot of and you know while we are concentrating on what's happening in uh, uh, Europe and Asia, uh, the shithole countries are pretty much being uh, exploited, much like they were back in the 1800s.
Hmm.
You know?
Yes, my friend. It's going to be interesting. I think the amount of time we have left to live, we won't see the major catastrophes, but it's coming. It's coming.
Well, I'm hoping, I'm hoping, because I have seen so many changes in these last 77 years. I want to be 101. I want to see what
Oh,
it's going to
really?
be. I want to see what it's going to be like at the turn of the century.
The average man lives to 77, I guess it
Well,
is.
well, I am 77.
You are 77.
My,
The
my
average woman lives to 81.
yeah.
So have you ever considered transitioning over,
No,
do
no. No,
I,
I've never. That's something that's never crossed my mind. And I've been in 3 wars and 3 penitentiaries, and no, it's never crossed my mind. But you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because my dad did live to be 81. My mother lived to be quite, I think, 7 more years. I think she was 88, somewhere around in there when she passed. Uh, but I mean, I think of it, like I was born in 1947. I remember when my grandfather got his first Chevrolet in
mm,
1957, and
wow.
I think he paid $2,200. I
Yep.
think it was for a brand new car. I remember coming home from Vietnam, and gas was, I believe, I want to say 29.9.
Yep.
That's what I okay. Um, and you could get a brand new car for less than $7,000.
Actually, lower.
Well, I mean, it depends upon the car that you want. I'm talking, like,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, upper model. I mean, you could get the big Cadillac for 10,000,
Yeah.
but you could get a nice, if you wanted to get the convertible and all that, you had to pay a little more. But you could get you a nice long Cadillac with the fins and all that, for about 6.8, I think it was, somewhere around in there. Yeah. But and like we went to Robert Hall.
Mm.
You remember Robert Hall? And
Mhm.
Robert, so I remember the first the first time that I even knew what a computer was. I entered a keyboard punch uh, a class, and I had this big suitcase with 1,000 cards or more in it, and I had to feed it through a machine, and it was a rough computer. Then I remember when we had cell phones that you had to have the big battery on the side and the antenna out if you want to use the cell phone. You know, so it's I remember in the science fair when we used to talk about electric cars, you know, and the 101. I want to see. I want I want to see what that century mark is like. I, I've seen so many changes in 3/4 of a century that and most importantly of all, I want to see what the family unit looks like.
Oh, yeah. Well, the family unit's really spread out now.
What family unit?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when, on Sunday dinner, the whole family was around the table and the kids ate over here.
And we're all blended families now.
Yeah, but I mean, family is. I've always been, taught, that family was were blended. I mean, that no matter who or what, if you were family, you were family. It didn't matter whether you were light skinned, dark skinned, whatever. If you had that name or that family connection, you were family. You didn't, you know, if you attacked one brother in the family, you attacked all the brothers in the family.
Pretty much.
Now you have one brother on one side and another brother on this side, and they're exchanging gunfire.
Hmm. Well, I still don't carry, so
No, but I mean,
worry about
but I mean, you read the news and
that.
I mean, like all of our uh, violence and activities are not brought in by Mexican rapists. We've had a problem
No,
before.
no, no. You got to read the news that all the drugs and all the rapes are coming in from the southern border. Didn't you know that?
Well, I live in San Diego. Of course, I do. you know, I mean, every night there's a caravan that goes through my yard. The coyote and four or five mules. You know, with an armed escort. So, I
Hmm.
mean, what am I supposed to do? Right? You know, how long is the coastline of California? I mean,
What I find interesting is the coasts. I mean, we've got these huge coasts, and it'd be impossible to stop them there. The only reason they're bringing them in the southern border is it's probably economically the low cost way to do it.
every once in a while we have a few boats that wash up, some of them, they're have bodies in them. I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, the California coastline, I'm very sure is susceptible. Uh, Even though we do have a great Coast Guard presence, but with they come in from Cuba, so you don't think they're going to come in from Mexico? Yet they're going to paddle, was it 90 miles to Cuba, but they can't paddle 5 miles across the border from So yeah, I mean,
It's not making the news.
yeah.
That's all it is.
No, I mean there's no crowds there, and like I said, every once in a while, you there'll be a few boats, but it's a maritime thing. I mean, but
This
anyway,
country was built on immigration. I like Native Americans as best as the next guy. I patronize their casinos regularly, but 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 this country was built on immigrants, and it's going to continue to be built on immigrants.
look what happened to the Indians when they tried to stop immigration.
Yeah,
I mean, you need a better example?
I like that.
you know. So yeah, I mean, uh, there's a lot of things that I think that we should concentrate on. I think we need to concentrate on uh, climate change. I know they think that that's a hoax, but when it's hotter in Georgia than it is here in California, and and we're having tornadoes in New Jersey, I think it might be something that we might want to look into. I'm
Wow.
I'm just saying, that but maybe it's just an old man, like Don Quixote swiping it at windmills. But
Windmills cause cancer. I heard that on the news.
oh yes, there you can see, there you go. So uh, but
It was on Fox, I think.
but there is a time when I and out here where you have these vast expanses that are practically uninhabitable. Uh, I see nothing wrong with setting up a wind farm there, and maybe
Oh, yeah.
my gas might cost a little less, or my electric bill might be, a couple dollars less this month, a couple dollars less next month. You know,
What they're doing here in Georgia is setting up a wind field with the windmill on the end of it, and then on the field they plant solar panels.
yeah, yeah.
Works great.
That's the new
We
thing.
we have some of the cheapest electricity in this country.
See, yeah, see, but those are all uh, you should be burning coal. You should be burning oil.
Yeah, I remember first term he's going to save the coal in West Virginia.
Yeah,
Remember that one?
yeah. Well, he also went in my hometown, right there at Lordstown, and told the people that he was going to save the automobile factory. Didn't work out too well for them either.
Nope.
But you know, um, it's some of it's very interesting to me to see what happens in Ohio when you have the senator from Ohio running as
Yeah,
the
yeah.
vice president. So it's. Um, I think we're living in strange times,
Yes,
and
that's for sure.
I mean, it's like we have never learned to read and digest things for ourselves. If someone is not spoon feeding an idea to you, uh, I think uh, the time of the independent thinker is, I mean, are they extinct?
I believe um, uh, they prefer sheep to independent thinkers. Just get in line and comply and follow your leader. Yeah, I see a lot of that.
Uh,
Some
uh,
people call that cults.
well, that's what we used to call them, But we're some of the terms that fit our generation, are no longer, acceptable. Uh, a part of the political correctness. But where do you see education in the next 10 years? I mean, no, there's no longer that you know that job at McDonald's or the fast food restaurant because out here in California we are experimenting with robot restaurants where you go in, you give your order, and there's maybe a couple of people at the front, but
It's
everything
hard
else.
to find a McDonald's with a live person out front. There's
See,
yeah.
I mean, those are jobs that we used to have as kids. They were called entry level jobs. What are we gonna do when we lose the entry level jobs and the education system is not meeting or is not keeping up with the technology?
Those
We
are
already, we already. I mean, you know, uh, we already have AI.
those are two very personal questions as far as myself goes. I've got my youngest grandchild is in a senior in high school this year. Got him a look see at the pipe fitters union, and I don't think that's the way he's going to go. But it's hard to say. I think right now he's a candidate for the military because it'll let him see the world. And the other thing on education is I
But you
got
got to be able to pass that test to get in the military.
I think he can pass the test. He's got a good
No,
basic.
no, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I'm just
Yeah,
talking about as far
but
as
they keep lowering the standards because no one's going. You know, they keep lowering it. But anyway, long story short, I think the military is a good end, and I'm just trying to work on him where he tries to stay away from being cannon fodder, where he just you know
what are you talking about there, Willis? What are you talking?
it's it's some sort of technical end out of it. But he just wants to shoot a gun. You know what I mean? I
Um,
bought I bought my son a
you can tell
roll.
him you can tell him to give me a call if you'd like.
I will. I
uh,
bought my son a rolling block, octagon barrel, uh, single shot 22 when he was like 14 years old, and he gave it to my grandson here not too long ago.
okay.
He's getting to be guns. Now, I also have a 4-year-old great grandson that just went into pre K. So, yeah, education system is important.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're talking about specifically, banning books, book bannings, uh,
But
maybe.
education is on the local level. You don't have any much in the way of national control other than providing the money if they do this or they do that. You know,
Well, the reason why, you had you had the grant system,
right.
and this is, like, one of Biden's things was, he was trying to forgive student debt. So, when you talk about uh, the costs of going to institutions of higher learning, and you talk about, I mean, it's already like everything else, uh, getting to cost more and more
It's
to get,
tough.
so I mean, uh, and I mean, you have people coming out of school with enormous amounts of debt, uh, and then can't find a job, and then you
Not in,
also
not in, not in the field.
and, and then, yeah, not in the field that they went to college for, and then you have the other end, where people are getting degrees in subjects that are going to be obsolete. But I also think, as you mentioned, you with speaking of your son and your grandson and the pipe fitters union, trade schools and apprenticeships, I think, are going to become uh, mechanisms by which the people that aren't uh,
Working people.
college, oh yeah, it's going to become the mechanism for working people. But will technology also make working people obsolete, as we have seen with the fast food markets?
Speaking of robots, that's what I did for General Motors. I taught,
Ah, it was one of you guys that did that, huh?
yeah,
See,
I taught people how to program and maintain robots.
see,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, the assembly line that used to have 15 people on it, first it was 12, then it was 7,
You are
and
correct.
probably now it's 4.
You are correct. And it creates a consistency where
That humans can match. I
yeah,
understand that, but like I
yeah.
said, are we going to come to a place where technology
But it
outpaces
is cost
human
effective.
need?
I've been retired for about 15 years, and I just wonder how far it's advanced.
Well, look at your little your grandkids that are flying drones
Yep.
already. Okay, look at I mean, how many things in the military do you use a joystick, even if it might be driving a vehicle?
A few years ago, I bought my wife an iPad for her to do recipes with, and this little feller, Elliot's his name. He calls it his iPad, and he's quite proficient on it. And he's just pre-K. I mean, he has no problem navigating it. So yeah, and the original thought is, well, pull it off of him and don't let him have it. Except when you make a car trip 4 or 5 hours, something like that, guys in the back of the car, it's perfect, man. They just work away at it.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's proficient at it. But
and
his mother won't let him take it home. So,
yeah. Well, does she let him watch TV?
oh yeah,
See, I mean, what But yeah, I mean, you can put the necessary apps, locks on it, parental
yep,
locks.
yep.
Uh, but what do you think? And this is one of the things that I'm thinking about. At that turn of the century, when as I said, speaking of cooking. uh, I when I got the Chat GPT uh, on my computer,
Okay. I haven't done that yet.
and I saw the things that I could do with it. I mean, you can write scripts the whole 9 yards.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
and if you want to, you can talk to it. You don't even have to type. But anyway, I was thinking one day, I'm saying, like, I can get this to do everything else. I'm wondering if I can do this. And what this was to make dinner for that day. I had no idea of what I was going to make for dinner, but I had a few things in the fridge. So surprisingly, I went to my Chat GPT. I put in the things that I had in my fridge, and in less than 4 seconds, I had 4 different recipes.
Nice.
Okay, I mean, and for somebody that used to spend like half a week in menu planning as a chef, I mean, this is this is heartbreaking. you know, yeah. I mean, it gave me, these weren't just four, run of the mill recipes. Like one was this style of food, one was this style, and if I had wanted to, all I had to do is ask them, and I could get 8 more recipes. So you know,
Technology.
and so I mean, like I said, like there's going to be a time when writing scripts and things might become obsolete because all you have to do is type in an idea, tell it how many characters you want, this, that, and the other, and just like programming anything else, you come out with an instant product.
Nice.
And the thing about it is, it makes you lazy to learn. You don't have to learn new things. The only thing you have to do is get a new app.
Well, I myself, I don't cook. I suffered a traumatic experience as a young man. When I first started out, I would eat out in restaurants all the time. And my mother told me one time, she says, Billy, you can't eat out all the time. You've got to start cooking for yourself. So I said, okay. And she gave me some pots and pans and a recipe book and some dishes. So I got home from work and I sat down and started the very first deal to do it. And I opened the recipe book and found me a recipe. And the first thing it said was to grease the bottom of the pan. Well, the fireman explained to me that they meant inside the pan. I suffer from post traumatic stress disorder and I cook. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Oh, oh, I think with that, I think with that we should go home. Oh, but Bill, it's been fun talking to you, man. And as two old veterans, that are absolutely, you know, uh, thinking about the future of our country as well as its past.
Vote.
Um, that is the most important thing. I always say, everyone, my stance, and that's who I am. But guys like Bill and I, one of the things we fought to make sure that you had that right to vote.
Amen.
So whoever, it doesn't matter who you vote. To me, you can vote for one party or the other, but the most important thing is that you get out and vote. But if you care about our country, please vote blue. Uh, Bill, give us your last thoughts here before we go, man.
I think this is going to be a pivotal election in our country, which way we're going to go. We have the chance to make history with a woman, a black woman at that. So I'm going to be voting for Camilla, and I encourage everyone else to.
Well, I echo that sentiment. We've had our differences out here in California, the black community with Camilla. But when you think about the alternative, vote Camilla. When you think about having fair elections, vote Camilla. If you're a minority and you have any of your family that has come over through the immigration process, you have to vote Democratic. But like I said, the most important thing to me is that you get out there and go to.
Amen.
Bill, I want to thank you there, my man. What's going on with Adult Swim, man?
Adult Swim is under a different ownership. The thing is changed as far as we're not doing live action very much. The live action that we do is going to end up streaming on Max.
Okay. So you got some plans in the works there?
Hey, do you do BET Plus?
Yes, I do.
Well, go look for the Miss Pat Show, episode 406.
Miss Pat, episode 406.
Correct.
Okay.
That was a fun little show I did, and it's funny as hell. It's funny as hell. And Miss Pat actually worked at the same General Motors plant I worked at one time. We had a conversation.
Okay.
October on Amazon. Okay. Glenn Close, Brandon Fraser, Josh Brolin, and Peter Dinklage are in a movie called Brothers. It's worth going to see. If the editor was kind to me, I'll do a scene with Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage in prison, no less.
Were you doing a life sentence there?
I seriously don't know if it'll actually show up as much, because I'm just a little bitty player there for one day. and these are megastars, and I had fun with them, because I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I just go do what I'm going to do and enjoy it. They all they can do is fire me. They can't kill me. That's illegal.
Well, you might want to look at it. There might be some fine print in 2025. You never can tell. You never
right,
can.
Brother, you take care.
All right, you have a good night. Appreciate your time, man. You have a good one. Yes, well, we had a good time there with Will, and I look forward to talking to him and some other veterans on our next show. In the meantime, everyone, we appreciate coming into your living room, and we look forward to hopefully having you attend our next episode of Carmela, the debate, which will be 2 weeks from today. And then we will have one on October 3rd and one on October 12th, if we have a vice presidential debate. So thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. And we hope you'll come back and listen to us again. Have a great night. See you in 2 weeks.